Well, hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen around the world. It's once again time for the WADcast. That is the Writers, Actors, Directors podcast, brought to you by myself and the guy that is lagging 3 hours behind on the West Coast, Mr. Brandon. What is up, sir?
Not much, buddy. How was your week? As if we do not talk every single day. How was your week?
Oh, it was lovely.
Oh, it's good.
How was
That's
yours?
lovely. Oh, no, mine was lovely. Mine was absolutely lovely.
Absolutely.
Beautiful, cold California, listening about how you guys are out there getting your suntan on and everything else, going surfing, and I'm just over here hoping to God not to get shot. So,
well, you know, that shooting stuff is just a part of daily life in Florida. We have a special show tonight, don't we?
Hey guys, we do. We have Josh. I introduced our last guest, so I'll let you do the introduction this time. I'll shut up.
All right. I guess I can do it. Sure. Make me work. Coming at you tonight is our very special guest, Henry Nader, writer, actor, director, producer, musician. He wears a lot of hats. So what's up, Henry?
Yep. Oh, not too much. I've been ready for this show for a while now.
You did show prep?
Yeah. Well, I got up at 5:30 a.m., right?
Okay.
And I drank a couple of glasses of water. I took my supplements, and I drank my coffee, did some push-ups, went for a walk, and I was ready for this 10 a.m. interview that I was going to do today, right?
Uh-huh.
And much to my chagrin, come to find out, it was actually at 10 p.m. Yeah, it's way past my bedtime. I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about or doing.
Well, if it makes you feel any better,
yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, it's only 7 o'clock over here on the West Coast.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
this was my fault, by the way. I'm sure everyone told me. My wife, she handled this. She reminded me. I was thinking, well, of course, it wouldn't really be 10 p.m., but for some reason I watched that one up. I'm not sure why. But yeah. But here we are.
So how about we just cut to the chase, get to the actual fun stuff. Henry.
If you like. I mean, we can, yeah. However you like to do it.
Some tough questions, man.
You bet.
So where are you from?
Jacksonville Beach, originally.
Home sweet home.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of, on the north side of Jacksonville. So yeah, I've gone far with my life.
Well, listen. At least
is a thing.
The thing is you're able to do your filmmaking in an affordable part of the United States.
Oh, absolutely.
With
Final Cut. Both features that I've made entirely exactly what I want to make, for better or worse. Yeah. So that's not so bad. It's not such a bad thing. Yeah.
No. No, see something like that out here in LA. If you were to try to make a feature film out here while living, you'd be homeless. Maybe living out of like a camper or an RV, which there's plenty of those. So
I've seen some of that on the old interwebs. We had some of that here a little bit. We had kind of a tent city downtown for a while, and they cleaned it right up. Pretty crazy. I saw it the day that they were going to clean it up, and then the next morning, and I mean the ground was raked. They had just just like, yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was.
They weren't joking at all.
They mobilized. Yeah, it was freaky. It was like, it was humbling in a way to see that something like that could be accomplished with such swift force. But yeah.
Okay. We actually have our first comment of the night. Royce commented, glad to be part of this project and looking forward to seeing the final film.
Yeah,
forever, Henry, and I'm forever grateful for being included in your art. That's awesome.
Thanks, Royce. Royce is awesome. Yeah, Royce came and he helped out on the film. He was part of the crew, and he was also an actor.
Well, out of curiosity, like, okay, so you were like, have you ever like, what got you interested rather into working in film? Because I mean, like, you have people that live in Jacksonville that work in film, granted, but a lot of them seem to like migrate to where they think you need to be, i.e., Los Angeles.
Right.
And there have been quite a few success stories in film and music coming out of Jacksonville. It's like kind of like a big creative hub for quite a few artists in different mediums. But what got you interested into working like with film? Like what was your first film project like? And how did it go? Just I guess throughout the production.
Well, I mean, there's like official adult life version of that, and then there's everything from the I guess late 70s and early 80s. I was born in 1975, so I kind of got in on that whole Star Wars craze and all the big blockbusters, all the crazy films that were kind of hitting at the time. And I don't know, Superman, Alien, whatever, late 70s, like I was saying, up until up through the mid 80s. That whole George Lucas, Spielberg thing, at first that was probably my big influence as far as the things that I was watching. And I would see behind the scenes footage, documentaries that they would play on maybe HBO or one that comes to mind. And if I'm not mistaken, actually, I think I remember talking to Royce about this. In fact, was the making of Thriller, the video Thriller. It had like a making of, which was pretty influential. So anything that I saw on that just kind of sparked this interest. And I guess I borrowed my uncle's video camera. Let's see, I was probably 8 years old. And I put together kind of a thing with me and some friends, local sort of neighborhood thing, Dungeons and Dragons oriented type of Lord of the Rings sort of thing. Lost to the ages, unfortunately. But yeah, so we did some of that sort of make believe, and I definitely wanted to get more and more into it, but we really couldn't, afford to send me to film school. I couldn't, just buy a movie camera at the time, get the professional equipment. My father is a musician, and so we had instruments laying around, so I kind of gravitated towards music instead, and lived many years as an original music artist. More recently, I guess I'm thinking probably 2010. I decided I would go ahead and throw my hat in as a filmmaker and kind of do an official first film, and that was Shoot the Messenger, which 2016, I guess.
Full disclosure, I'm not gonna say I had a big hand in helping with Shoot the Messenger, but I certainly held a couple polls on set. If you know what I mean.
You did.
Microphones, you sick people.
And I'm sure you did a great job. I mean, I was going to, you know what? I said I'm going to try to keep my end of things a little bit more professional tonight as opposed to usual.
Oh, whatever. You guys can have fun. It's cool.
You were a fluffer, weren't you?
With the more jokes, the better. Because I just have no idea what I'm doing.
Now let's talk about Shoot the Messenger for a moment.
Shoot the Messenger, yeah. I made another one in between there too. It was like when I was about 18 years old. I did another one on VHS, and then we did a few short films with my band Hank El Diablo, kind of like just experimenting with film, not film, but actual video cassette. That's what we had to work with at the time, with the old videotapes. And I had a lot of fun with that stuff. I was fairly technical with it. I would hook up a couple of hi-fi VCR machines together and edit. I would put some new song in or whatever it was, and God, I would just blow my mind with like what I could do in this analog capacity. Of course, this was way before all the digital tech that all the kids are spoiled with these days.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I think, I mean, like honestly, if you can film something on a VHS tape, I mean, let's face it, it's like, I mean, yeah, you're going to get some like the worst quality footage you'll ever see in your life, but
Right.
it's still, if you can actually manage to pull it off and still tell a good story that's not painful to watch,
Right.
then you have some kind of talent there.
Yeah, my friends would enjoy, whatever we did. It was goofy and wrong and, just like youthful humor, things that wouldn't really hold up today. But yeah, it was fun. And I think the experience was very important. And I mean, I'm glad that I got a chance to kind of get in on the, I don't want to say the tail end of analog, because analog still exists and it's still a very useful medium. I don't mind talking about that a little bit more. But yeah, when I got started, it was really all analog, and that's that was the magic. So when I was talking about, for example, the special effects behind the scenes specials that I would watch, there was all the tactile movie making, miniatures and the way they did all the original Star Wars effects, and all that stuff just blew my mind so much that I kind of had to learn more and more about the art of creating the illusion. And I'm glad I did. It's been interesting to see CGI take over. I think that it's taken over a bit too much.
Absolutely agreed.
Yeah, I keep watching these things even as of late on miniatures, and sure, it takes a very long time to make it, but you have all of the shadows, you have all of the highlights, you just light the damn thing and it looks right. And I think that's something you get with stop motion, for example, that maybe if you have like all of your cartoon work nowadays, a lot of it's being done in the computer, and I think that we're losing kind of that human element. That's something that's going to be probably, we're going to be getting less and less of that in the future, less of that sort of human touch, and I think it's probably going to be, I don't know, to me it's the most valuable commodity. It's the one thing that matters, and it's unfortunate. I don't think there's an insidious evil reason why, but I think that tech haphazardly pushes us further away from humanity, and the same can be said with music. Everything's kind of being auto-tuned, and all the sounds are very much digital, digital facsimiles of the real thing. So
absolutely agreed. I think I told somebody else, like, with music these days, I mean, it's music, and unfortunately it's turning into the same thing with a lot of acting, because there's a lot of actors these days that couldn't act their way out of a paper bag, but they're just very pretty to look at.
Sure.
There's not a whole lot of substance behind them. It's just like you look at them, it's like, wow, you have some very dead eyes. But the thing is, as you said, there have been some beautiful films made with very cleverly done uses of CGI. If you look at Pan's Labyrinth, the way that they like with the fawn, the guys just like straight legs, but they just crop those legs out. What was it, like the Hellboy series, which sometimes they went too far with CGI, but still. But you have a lot of movies where they use CGI where you would never think that they used it, but then other ones like, and I'm going to love using this comparison. You go back to Ghostbusters from 1984. The practical effects, the puppeteering that they used, and it was so much more believable than anything you saw in that remake in 2016.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like over the top CGI. It's so painful to even watch, because it was just like the CGI was just, I don't know, mind numbing to me.
Yeah. Which I haven't seen the new one, but of course I saw the original in the theater when it came out, and that was a rather big deal. Yeah, that was.
See, you're lucky. I didn't see the original in theaters until a few years back when a friend of mine took me out to go see it for my birthday.
Yeah.
In which case, it was like taking the dog to like a dog park. Like once I found out where we were going, I wouldn't shut up.
I think, I was lucky. I got to see some cool things. It's that probably happens with each generation. You kind of look back. Like I was talking to my dad the other day. I had mentioned he's a musician, and I was talking to him about a time before rock and roll. You know, like he can actually remember a time before rock and roll. That's pretty crazy. But like concert wise, you know, he got to see Jimi Hendrix, for example. You know,
Yeah, all the greats.
You were talking about Nirvana before we went on live, and that's a band that I got to see. So I guess that was kind of just part of my generation or whatever. And I know it's okay, but it's as far as the films that I grew up with, yes, it was a major part of my my wanting to become a filmmaker. But I would have to say now that I've, you know, matured, I've gotten away from the big blockbusters. I mean, especially the way that they're doing them these days. You know, I'm much more inclined to kick back and watch several independent films on my Mubi subscription, which I just got. I don't know if you guys heard of that or not. I'm really digging that lately. MUBI, cool indie films from around the world. So kind of more into that as far as what I'm doing now, as far as the types of stories I'm trying to tell now and the type of, you know, poetry I'm trying to come up with at this point. It's definitely shifted and changed, but yeah, I guess I was lucky and I got to see some real things, and you know, I think that that we can still make great art with digital technology. It's really about the story that you want to tell. But I had a really good time kind of going back and like kicking it old school. But this new film we did, hey, what's up? I see Gordon Richards is saying, what's up, guys? Can't wait to see The Exchange film. Gordon Richards, very, very instrumental to the making of The Exchange, which we shot on super 16 millimeter film, every frame of it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
you went full on. You went full analog with that one then.
We did, yeah. I mean, you know, of course, editing in digital and whatnot. Hey, could you guys give me 1 second? I need to get the battery hooked up on this laptop. I've got a situation. It's just 1 second. Let me make sure I get this right. Otherwise, the thing is going to die on us. And that's no fun. Aha.
Tina, I wish I could see it. I must be doing something wrong.
Okay.
Tina, the entire show is usually non-visual. It's all pretty much just audio. So you're not doing anything wrong. If you can hear us, you're doing everything right.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, that's my mom. Hey, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Cool.
So I mean, like, okay, so you shot The Exchange on analog film. You edited it digitally through Final Cut. I'm sorry, not Final Cut. I'm sorry. What program do you use? I was thinking like earlier when you said you get to have Final Cut. What program? How do you go about editing? Because I mean, honestly, shooting an analog film is in the independent sector of filmmaking. It's such a dying art.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's going the way of, like, you know, so many other arts, like, you know, that, you know, like developing photographs. So it's, unless you really know how to do it, you know, it's kind of like no one else is going to do it.
And I have not quite gotten into that yet, actually developing my own photographs, but I did take some analog photographs. I started to do that again right around the time I was, you know, kind of getting into shooting motion picture film, which was quite a process to learn. Along the way, there were a few mistakes made, and kind of had to you know to deal with that and pull ourselves up and make it happen, make it all work. A few things had to be reshot here or there, or whatever it was, or just, you know, reworked, because it's clunky. It's hard to. It's not the kind of thing you just walk right into and you can own it. You sort of have to make a few mistakes, and but I love it. I love it. It's a great experience. It was quite a challenge. We wouldn't have been able to do something like that if it hadn't been for our fantastic executive producer, Cynthia Roy, and we are forever grateful to Cynthia for facilitating this film. So yeah, but
but actually learning how to, expose onto film. You don't get to do any redos. You don't get to shoot over it and rewind it and shoot over it, or empty the hard drive and just say, okay, tonight was no good. It's something that you have. It's something that's permanent. So we'd have to step up rehearsals, for example. We'd have to really kind of elves, lots of elves. Yeah, those two. Yeah. So yeah, it was a fun party.
So like with shooting on like the 16 millimeter film, shooting on the 16 millimeter film, like I'm aware, like you only have so much like free range when you shoot on film, because like you said, digital, you have the external hard drives, you have the SD, like chips, you have all those things, like the SD cards rather. So there's, I mean, if it weren't for the fact that I shot my last thing on digital, we would have been completely pegged and out of film. Right. But so like with yours, like, I mean, how many takes does that really allot you with, like a lower budget independent project?
Oh man, I would say at best 4-to-1 take ratio.
Oh God, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So limited.
Yeah. Yes, very limited. But for some effect shots, we would go 6. Maybe even more than that if necessary. But that was pretty rare. And it became the art of knowing if we got it, and knowing how loose it could be. Somehow it really works, but of course we got to work with some good actors this time around.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
I know you did. Josh, did you watch the film yet? Did you watch the movie? We sent you a link.
Well, since you said it, I guess I can acknowledge yes. Yes,
you did. Okay. Yeah, and you did a good job. You didn't do a bad job at all. Every actor on the film did a fantastic job. There was the one guy who played the bad guy's henchman. He was a bit of a prima donna, and it was kind of hard to work with him. He plays a character named Mr. Smiley. I don't want to say his name.
No, it's fine.
Because he's a douchebag,
I could not stand him.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate having actors like that on set.
He did an okay job.
There was one scene in particular with him that I was grinning from ear to ear.
Yeah.
That bad, huh?
I'm not gonna go into that, because you know what? As long as we have the exchange on the tip of our tongues right now, I do believe there is some news about a release.
Oh, sure. For me? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, April 1st, we're going Vimeo. We're going to put it out on Vimeo for free for one day. And hey, Thomas Hamby. Thomas Hamby played the Reverend Rathbone. What's up, Thomas Hamby? Yeah. He was fun to work with. Everybody was. It was like a really cool cast. Really cool cast. Yeah, some fun actors.
I will say this, like, as far as like, working with prima donna actors or actresses or anything of that nature, I have only fortunately ever dealt with one person that one actor. I remember his name. I could say his name. I doubt that he listens to the show, considering how long ago it was.
Yeah.
But like we were joking about our like when I had my college classmate on the show last week, talking to us about like him being a producer in the industry, stuff like that out here in California. We brought up our very embarrassing student films.
Okay.
And and with me, I'm not an actor, but I went through the process. I cast my student film, and the guy that was supposed to play the lead in the film, just constantly, well, what's my motivation? Well, he wouldn't do this. He wouldn't do this. Like, buddy, this is like a freshman college student film. Like, I mean,
right.
Give me a break here. Well, I mean, when is our break? When are we doing this? Like, I mean, I have to go, like, powder my face real quick. I don't like shooting from this side. I'm like, okay, you know what? Just leave.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Like, I'll direct myself. I've never directed myself. I've never acted before. So what the hell? It cannot be that hard. It's hard. Like,
yeah.
But just like, I mean, but granted, that's like with a no budget 3 cast film with like a minimal crew because everyone else is finalizing their films. So I can imagine dealing with that on a higher level, and where you actually have like a time frame to get things shot and done. Where you have to where you have like the your AD is like breathing down your neck about the schedule and everything else. Like I can only imagine having to deal with that while being under that kind of a pressure to get things done in a timely fashion.
Yeah. Well, this film took forever to make, really, because of we had some restraints budget-wise and just schedule-wise. So I guess it took so long to film. We had to just kind of do it off and on, and I want to say over 2 years of principal photography, but really like abbreviated with huge breaks, in between. We would kind of have to recover from getting the film developed and kind of move on to the next thing. But that worked out for the type of film that it is, because it's really in a couple of different spots. So we had like these characters and these characters over here and these characters over here, and they do cross-pollinate. Josh knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, so like the Kenny stuff and the part that he was involved with, we got a chance to kind of do a little bit later than the Breezy Sharp, the material that Breezy Sharp was a part of. And let's talk about Breezy Sharp. Fantastic. She did great, really great as the lead, and super cool. She ended up on an episode of Better Call Saul recently, which blows my mind. Did you guys hear about that? Josh, did you hear about that? No? Oh, okay. Yeah, she was in one of the more recent episodes from last year, and she actually was Hector Salamanca's nurse, which is like, holy shit. Yeah, it's really like, it was very exciting for me. I was really into Breaking Bad, and I like Better Call Saul a lot. Really into that show as well. It's one of the few shows I watch. And I hope they can get that together soon and wrap that up. I know that they were going to be doing that soon. But yeah, that was a pretty neat thing. So I don't know if she's going to be reprising that role or not. It was all kind of very top secret, hush hush sort of thing. But and I have to mention the last comment that we have here, Richard Kodai, who I did a movie with, Shoot the Messenger.
Moz Kane.
Yeah, Moz Kane. He is actually the gentleman who introduced me to Breezy Sharp. So thank you, Richard. Thank you very much. And we had some great people working on this one. Kenny was awesome. Kenny's really, really fun to work with, Kenny Logston. And then we got John Amplis, George Romero fame. I was in contact with him from a while back, and we were going to do another project together. We were talking about it for a while, and that kind of fell through. And a part came up that I thought he would be able to do really well in The Exchange. So we got him to come down, and that was great. That was a fun time, hanging out with John Amplis and talking George Romero times and stuff like that. He was in a George Romero film called Martin. He was actually the lead in that, Martin. And they filmed that. Yeah. They filmed that one.
I'm very familiar with that.
Okay, yeah, that was shot on 16. And I think, he was saying that The Exchange was the first time he had been shot on 16 since Martin. So, or maybe I said that to him or something like that. I forget, whatever it was. But yeah, it was a great time and really fun to work with that guy. He's a damn good actor. We hope to see him again soon.
Well, yeah. So what's it like? Because I know your first film, Don't Shoot the Messenger.
Yeah,
Shoot the Messenger.
Yeah, Shoot the Messenger. I'm sorry, Shoot the Messenger.
That's right.
Yeah. I've seen that. This one, I usually see like the work of the people I'm going to be speaking with for the show. Okay. Unfortunately, with my schedule and everything else, I work at nights. so I could focus on more things. So I haven't really had time to even watch it. But I am like I'll be able to see it tonight. I'm excited to see it.
Oh, cool.
But when you finish your films, when you're actually sitting down after you're done with the editing and everything else, which, one thing I love about making something is the editing process. It's like piecing together a puzzle. I have a lot of fun doing it. I could be locked away in front of a computer editing for, God, like a day and a half nonstop with like maybe bathroom and like some kind of like snackage break. And I realized how long I've been doing it. But when you finish your editing, when you see the movie for the first time, like when you sit down, you finally watch it start to finish. Like, what is your feeling when you're watching the work that you busted your ass to make?
Oh wow! Recently, as I watch it, most recently, I like it. I like it a lot. At first, it needed a lot of work and needed to be shaped up quite a bit. So I saw all of its flaws at first, and it's kind of learning to live with certain takes and whatever. Like I said, we didn't have so much to work with as far as takes are concerned, because celluloid is very expensive.
Oh yeah.
But so there was that, but I don't know. Somehow the discipline behind it all, the immediacy of it, really kind of pushed us towards. On both ends, on both filming it and on the back end, on actually like putting it together and editing, just kind of like forced it to be what it is. And I don't know. I just think that it's right. It's right, even if it's simple and imperfect. Whatever is there is how it should be. So, but I mean, it's of course going to be up to whoever's watching it. But yeah, but that's my take, is that what we've done is feels true, artistically speaking.
Henry, you mind if I jump in here real quick?
Oh, please.
Because this is a unique situation for us here. Usually we have a guest on the show and we hear a lot about, life experiences, projects, and Brandon and I both coming at it from a strictly outsider's perspective, as far as their lives are concerned. But here, we have me, who was, on the set for Shoot the Messenger for a few days, right, and actually have a role in The Exchange. So I have this perspective of, the way both films went down as far as shooting goes. And if I may, I'd like to say that there was, first of all, both experiences were an absolute blast. But as far as the shooting, between the digital and the analog, the one thing that really stood out when comparing the two experiences was that for Shoot the Messenger, it was, we'll say, looser when it came time to call action.
Yeah.
And it seems like with The Exchange, there was definitely a lot more focus when it was time to start rolling tape.
Yeah.
And I think that's not only a credit to you, but to everybody that took part in shooting, to know that resources are not necessarily limited, but they are definitely not unlimited. And when it was time to work, everybody put on their performance pants and got down to it and did a damn good job.
Yeah. Yeah, something happens when when it's rolling 24 frames per second, when it's actually this sewing machine is in front of you, making that sound, and that's what I like to call it, a sewing machine. Yeah, just rolling celluloid at 24 frames per second. There's something about it, and again, that you can't just rewind it and tape over it. That's it. That's going to get developed and either used or end up on the cutting room floor. So yeah, I mean, it's a game changer. There's an immediacy that it's there. It's you can sense it. Yeah.
What people didn't and won't see when they watch The Exchange is Henry behind the camera holding a gun to all of our pets' heads, saying, "You better get a rope."
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, whatever it takes to make good art, right?
Exactly. A few hostages here, a few casualties there. It's all in the name of art.
That is straight out of that. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that show, The Extras. Ricky Gervais' show. It's on Netflix.
No, I haven't.
That it's actually it is a friend of mine, a friend and also a producer and sound engineer I work with. This guy Mark. He actually introduced me to the show. It's a brilliant show. It's just about a guy that I'll get into the scene I'm talking about in a second, but it's about a guy that starts off as an extra. Extra gets zero respect, and ends up having all of his dreams realized when an idea he has gets picked up. But it shows how much the industry butchers, like your baby, basically.
Oh wow, yeah.
But yeah. What I was getting at is that comes off as like the opening scene to the show, holding a gun to like the pet's head.
Oh,
There's a scene where Ben Stiller is directing this feature-length 1940s era war movie.
Right.
And this little kid comes running around the corner, and he trips, and the child actor starts laughing. So Ben Stiller yells cut, goes over to the boy, and says, "Oh, you think this is funny? You think this is funny? Like war is funny? People dying is funny to you? Where's your mommy?" And the mom comes around, and it's like, "Okay, extra soldier, come over here real quick." He pulls up the prop gun and puts the gun to the mom's head. Looks at the kid's like, "So if I were to blow your mommy's brains out right now, that'd be funny to you? Yeah? That'd be funny?"
Okay.
And the kid starts crying. And he's like, "See, that's what I want you to do. I want you to look scared. Go back and do it again, otherwise you're fired." My God.
That sounds familiar. I might have seen that. I might have actually seen that.
It's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah. And I personally can't stand Ben Stiller, but I saw him in this. I'm like, okay, you know what? He actually does have moments where he's funny.
Right. No,
but it just reminds me, like how he says, like, well, anything to get the shot.
Yeah. The evil director. I wrote a screenplay about that. Yeah.
Oh, there you go, Josh. You wrote a screenplay about evil director. We wrote a screenplay about we wrote a series about a horrible agent. We can mix the two characters together, man.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I made The Exchange instead, and it's probably a good thing. It would have been perfect timing. It was sort of based in the 70s sexploitation era. Philippines. The B movies that they were making.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen? It just came out, I think, last year, maybe the year before. I forget. But Dolomite Is My Name. Eddie Murphy. Dolomite Is My Name.
I have, yes.
Okay, yeah.
That's great.
It was kind of like sort of that sort of thing, in that direction.
Oh, okay.
Those guys could get away with it. I don't think that I would have survived it.
Well, I mean, it's the and one thing that Josh and I talk about frequently on the show is how much everything in the industry changes or how poorly it tends to age.
Right.
Because there are things that there are things that you can make, like you could have made like 15 years ago. Like I wrote like a few scripts, and some of them actually won awards, but this is like 12 years ago that these things were entered in film festivals. I would never even attempt to enter half these scripts into a festival now.
Wow.
Just because of like the content in them. Mm-hmm. Like I would just wow. I don't want to have a bullseye on my back.
Yeah.
I mean, Josh, for Christ's sake, everything with that Extra Life series that we wrote, like a lot of those things would never make it today.
Yeah.
And that was only like 8-9 years ago that we wrote that together. So
that
I mean,
was mostly nerd stuff.
Yeah, but half of it would not get made today, buddy. But it's like, I mean, I like the idea. I think if you're to write something, I think there should be an exception for things that take place in a certain era. So, I mean, I think with...
Oh, well, sure, of course.
Yeah, like, I think, like, if you were to make that film and you were to cover the, just like how things were done back then, I think it could actually be a powerful piece to see, like, how far, or depending on your subjective point of view, how very little things have gone in the film industry in the last couple decades.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there were some good ideas in that one. Yeah, and who knows? But I mean, there are a few kind of dead projects that I've written, and some of them are interesting. Some of them have interesting moments, and maybe we can retool stuff later, or even resurrect the whole thing, just depending on what the atmosphere is like at the time. I mean, for me, it's just a matter of doing exactly what I want to do at the time. That's what's really important to me. This is my opportunity to make my film, and I want to make it my way. I have one life and one voice, and this is my opportunity to kind of get that across. So anything aside from that is not going to be me, and therefore it isn't going to be true. So there you go. Well, and I mean, if I might not get the best distribution deal with that kind of attitude, or whatever it is. I mean,
well, it really depends, because that's a very Kevin Smith approach that you have. I mean, this is he's a man that's made his own films the way he's wanted to make them since the beginning of his career. Sure. And the only time you see something that was mildly disappointing, it was a studio project, which was what was it, Cop Out, I think.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But and it wasn't a bad film. It was just you could tell that it wasn't really Kevin Smith, I guess. Well, I guess that and Zack and Miri Make a Porno, I guess, was the other one that was. It didn't really seem to have the appeal that his other movies have. But I mean, there's a lot of power behind that. But with you are making it happen for yourself. Yeah. You're writing, producing, and directing and editing your own film to have your voice in it as much as humanly possible. Which, as you said, Final Cut, that is your voice. So I mean, I can't imagine anything better for any person that wants to be a filmmaker to be able to do.
Right.
But and that's I usually try to ask questions, because I mean I'm familiar with how to do a lot of the stuff, but we have some listeners that we have a few that are aspiring. Thinking about, hey, well, I can maybe try to get into the film industry, but I don't live in LA. I tell people, you don't have to live in LA.
Right.
You can do it anywhere. But so with you, what are your first, when you finish the scripts, when you do this, after you do the breakdown, you do the budgeting, all that stuff. If this is too personal a question, I mean, I don't expect you to give me the contacts. That's absolutely not. But how do you go about financing the film from there? Do you do crowdfunding? Do you just find investors? How do you go about it yourself with your financing of your films?
Oh, I just usually find kind of through personal contacts. I haven't crowdsourced yet. I've thought about it, but I haven't gone there yet. Fortunately, I haven't had to. But that's not to say that that's a bad way to go. In fact, that can be a very viable option, depending on how many friends you have out there. If you're doing really good on social media or whatever. I don't do any social media currently. I did during the Shoot the Messenger era. I was on social media, but I've been off for 4 or 5 years, I guess, which has been good.
Yeah, you're not really missing anything.
Yeah. I find myself kind of trying to get back to that analog life, and I know that it's always a struggle, and of course I still use all of the technology, but yeah, I enjoy it when I get a chance to just write something by hand or even on the typewriter. So I forget what were we talking about. I'm straying.
We're talking about how do you go about finding the finances, or how do you go about funding your projects?
Yeah, I think that was just through personal sources so far. Okay. But, I'm keeping my options open, and I'm definitely interested in talking to some people who want to see some great art, get made. Or I can't really say if it's great or not, but it's great that I get to make it. It's great that I get to make it, I guess. That'll be up to someone else to decide if it's great or not, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah, the only reason why I asked that because in film school, even in LA, I mean, going to UCLA and going to the Art Institute, oh God, that school, California, Los Angeles. You meet some great people. You meet some amazing professionals in the industry, You have some great contacts. They teach you how to make everything from start to finish. But the one thing they never teach you is how to go about finding funding and actually producing your film.
Right.
Like they never really teach you that. They tell you how to break things down. They tell you how to do the budgeting, but they never tell you, oh, well, and this is how you would go about, pitching it, or how you would go about, like, giving someone like an elevator pitch, which for those of you listening, an elevator pitch is just pretty much like a very quick, like maybe like 30 seconds to like a minute, like, to get their interest to, yes or no, in case like they're in a hurry to get you out of their space. So, like, that's the reason why I ask these questions, just because there are a lot of people that go to film school, some of which have actually listened to the show and have asked me that question, like, well, how do you fund things? Like, well, you got to find the money. Like, that's it. That's the best thing I can say. You just have to come up with a good concept, a good pitch, and hope to God the person that you're pitching it to says yes. But
yeah, I mean, I guess it helps if you convince somebody that you're crazy enough to see the thing all the way through, and yeah. Oh, I really don't know how it's done.
Okay.
Somehow I've made it happen. Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah, twice so far, and we're talking about doing some more things. I want to do a short film soon, and actually I have a new feature that I'm looking into producing. It's getting made. So, but I have a few that I've written. I definitely know that there are some that are out of reach. There's some that are going to be too expensive or whatever it is. Yeah, just not for me at this time. So I've got like probably maybe 3 that I'm floating around right now, but one of them is reasonable enough to where I could probably get it made in the next, I don't know, 10 years or something.
Man. You have a goal.
I'm exaggerating. Hopefully it won't be that long. Hopefully 2, but yeah. The exchange really did take a very long time. We actually, it was quite a long time of photography.
Well, when did initial photography for the exchange begin?
Let's see. Yeah, okay. So it was really 18 and 19. So and I would say all of the Breezy Sharp stuff at the farmhouse was in 2018, and then in 2019 we did a lot of the stuff with Kenny and the stuff with Josh and with John Amplis, etc.
Okay.
And a few things with Breezy, I guess, kind of finishing that up. But and the Rev. But yeah. So it was really a couple of years. I think maybe that we started in November of 17. Yeah, if memory serves me correctly. So it kind of went about 2 years of filming. And then it was going to come out in 2020, and I had a pretty good version of it cut together with some temp music that I had put in of my own that I thought was pretty okay. And then things got pushed back because of the COVID lockdowns.
Yep.
So every time, I kept kind of looking at it going, okay, I want to wait because the greatest thing for me, I can't say the greatest, but one of the greatest things for me is to see it in the theater with my friends, sit there and kind of have that collective experience. It's really, it's what I look forward to. I was really looking forward after all that work to have that moment. Of course we're still getting cheated out of that, but anyway, I kept pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back. And it seemed like, okay, things aren't going to be opening up, so let's go ahead and give it a release date. Every time I did that, though, it got a little bit better. I would kind of take a look at it, take a step back, look at the edit, and I ended up writing a new score for it, which I'm really happy. So it was kind of, I don't know, it's hard to say, a blessing in disguise, about anything as of recent, but yeah, we made it work. We made it work to our benefit. And I'm really happy with the new music that I wrote for it, and kind of edited a few more things together, kind of just working a few things out and polishing things, and finding the courage to like say, okay, I am going to put that one part in, and yeah. So it was a little bit of a learning process during the lockdown and kind of finding what the movie was. So I took advantage of it as best as I could. Yeah. Took advantage of a shitty situation, pretty much. It's really unfortunate that we couldn't just show it, but having said that, I would say that it's a much better film than it would have been. So I'll take it. That sounds good to me. And hopefully we will be showing it in a theater here sometime soon. We'll see.
Well, no, I mean, I think that's awesome. I think it's really cool. I know a few independent filmmakers that show their stuff in movie theaters, and like I've been to a few of those showings, and it's actually a hell of an experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a few buddies of mine that do stuff in Jacksonville, and I've seen a few of the films that they did in the theaters, and it really is like, I mean, it's just, and not just for me, but you see the audience, but you also see the look on their faces themselves, like that. You actually see their project come to full circle fruition.
Yeah, it's a good night, good party, kind of thing. Yeah, the premiere night atmosphere. Yeah, we were really hoping for that, and of course, we could have done it like 25% capacity with masks, but I'm just going to go ahead and hold off a little bit longer. Like I said, we're looking into doing a short soon. And I might do a night where we show The Exchange and kind of open it off with a short, and still be kind of under a 2 hour program. So that's not too bad. Yeah, we're looking into that. But yeah, as far as distribution goes, we're just self distributed at the moment, and we'll see where it goes. But
okay.
It's a good film, so I think that it could have legs and possibly do some good out there.
No, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's a fun ride. We'll see what other people think of it. It's definitely it has its own direction. So, yeah.
Okay.
Brandon, you there?
I'm here.
Yeah,
I accidentally I hit my mic mute button for a second.
Well then, Henry.
Yes.
Talking about The Exchange, as we have been. What is it? I know I saw it, and it just seems fair to say you have a film coming out. What, in 6 days?
I guess, yeah, something like that.
But what is it about?
Oh, well, I think that's a very personal thing for everyone, so kind of like just watch it and see what you think. I don't know. I put it together as best I could. I'm definitely not the best at describing my work, but I think that the description is there. It's there in the form of motion pictures and sound, and at times it's intentionally vague, and if not purposely obfuscated. But it's all a very personal journey, and I think that different people are going to take different experiences out of it, and that's beautiful. I wouldn't want to rob them of that either, by kind of just forcing my interpretation and being so pedantic about it. I just think that it should be up to the person ingesting the art, and they can have a personal experience with it or not.
That's fair. Well, do you mind if I read the description from IMDb?
Okay. Yeah, I do. I do mind. No, okay. I'm kidding. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
All right. For those of you that are joining us for the first time and wondering about Henry's latest film, Hattie Walker and her son Draven move to a new town. The town has eyes on the newcomers. At the reins of the town is the Reverend Rathbone. Have you heard his name?
Yeah, that sounded good. That was good stuff. You had your radio voice for that.
Got a face for it too.
Oh, bad.
So that's coming up. The exchange.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. That tells you a lot about the film, and yeah, all of the details involved. I don't know. I mean, is it about anything really? Probably not. Who knows? just an excuse to make a film. Kind of get together with my friends and burn through some celluloid and say,
let's talk about that real quick. Making movies with your friends. It's a very old tradition, as far as filmmaking goes, and it's something you've been able to do a couple times with Shoot the Messenger and now the exchange.
Let me think about it real quick. So if I was 8, born in 75, it would have been 1983, and I actually still know at least one person. Yeah, that was in that film. Video. Me and my buddies kicking around in the woods. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty wild stuff. But yeah, that's as far back as that goes with me. So sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, talking about the Jacksonville film community, it's comparatively speaking to where Brandon is in Los Angeles, Jacksonville's film community is not as large. So a lot of people run in similar circles. And if you look on I know you don't do social media anymore, but
right.
I have my Facebook, and you can look at these casts, and I look at my friends list, and I'm like, yep, they're there. And if they're not there, it's like, a friend of a friend, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So talk about Jacksonville's filmmaking community, and drop names if you want to, give some shout outs.
Yeah. They're all great. Hi, everyone. No, I don't know. Yeah, no, it is funny though when you watch a local film. It's like, all right, you're going to see there's a dozen people that you're going to see, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. These people are out there. They're getting in. They're getting to work. There's some really great people, and I guess I've worked with a lot of them in Shoot the Messenger as well as the exchange. Like some of them in both. God, who comes to mind? Tom Seidel comes to mind. Hi, Tom, wherever you are.
Tom's a fun guy.
Tom's great. Tom's really great to work with. He's he's a consummate professional, and comes in.
Of course.
Yeah, Cynthia Roy. I mean, Cynthia Roy has her hand in just about everything. It seems like. Of course, it's not the case, but I mean, it's pretty close. Wow. Yeah, Josh Townsend. What's up? Our buddy Josh.
The Nazi clown.
The Nazi clown, yeah. And he was in this one as well. He's in the exchange, yeah. He was in the wheelchair. Remember in the office scene.
Mm-hmm.
I forget his character name, which is pretty funny. Because I gave him his character name. That's okay. That's all right. Dude, I haven't talked to Josh in a while. Is he doing okay? I haven't.
Last I heard from him, he's doing pretty good. See, Brandon, you're not the only one that could do that.
What's that?
Catch up on the air.
Oh, that's fine. No, no, you owe me for last week, so it's fine.
Josh played Cletus Yates.
Cletus Yates. That's right. That's a good name. Yeah, I like that.
No. See, Henry, what he's talking about, as far as I'm not the only one that can do it. Josh took such a huge backseat on last week's show.
Okay.
Oh God, Josh, for how long? Almost an hour. I don't think I heard you say anything where I'm like, Josh, you got something, buddy?
I may or may not have gotten a nap.
That's okay. That's all right.
I just feel bad. It's a dual show, and I'm like, oh yeah, well.
Yeah.
Well, it's and that's one thing that cracks me up because out here in LA, people, the film community and as a whole, it seems to be, I guess, universal wherever you live in the world. In that particular area where you're creating these projects, everyone, it's like it's like high school basically. Everyone knows each other somehow, like whether it's directly or through another person, or if you don't know the person, they mention a name, you're like, oh, I know that guy too. Because I mean, like, there's people I know in Jacksonville that I'm sure are very much aware of what you're doing. I mean, like, I've got this buddy Jared Rush that I've known him for a few years, really cool guy, but like with Cynthia, Jared just seems to have his hand in damn near everything that whenever I see something film related, I see his name attached to it somehow.
That name a lot.
But so it's like, it's just it cracks me up because it doesn't matter what level of filmmaking, whether it's independent or studio, everybody knows somebody. Like, and it's not hard to find out if someone is full of crap when they're talking to you about their experience because it's just so easy to look up.
Right.
Not like the 90s Tarantino days where he lied on his resume to get a job.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
These days you do that, you're not getting work. So.
That's true. Yeah. That's unfortunate, though, because, I mean, somebody could take a chance like that and do some awesome things like he did. I mean, wow, right? That says part of that same fire that led him to lie about that was part of, I would have to think, was part of what, made him who he was as an artist. And yeah, so maybe that's missing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like I think it's missing at the same time. Like,
we should all be worse people, is what I'm trying to get at. That's not...
We should all be con artists.
Yeah, it's like, just like for the record, don't really take anything that I'm saying. Like. Oh
yeah, no, this show is pretty much like a meme shitposting group, basically. Okay. This is probably the most well-behaved I've been on the show for a long time, and it's largely because your mom's listening.
True.
So.
Oh yeah, that's true. She is. Yeah, I forgot too. Yeah.
But because usually because of me, this show would never find a mainstream market because of my mouth and my humor.
Yeah.
But the thing is that also true. But what do you call it? The film crowd. I mean, as long as you're not lying to get like an important big position where you're helming an entire set. Like, oh yeah, I've got tons of first AD experience. Oh, that's awesome. Oh yeah, here's my resume. Oh, that's really impressive. You're hired. Then they show up and you find them crying in the corner somewhere.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But PA work. Oh yeah, I've worked on lots of stuff. It's like, well, you're a PA. It's not hard to screw that up. So just you're hired.
Right.
Do you know what cream is? Do you know what sugar is?
Right.
We need TP for our bungholes. Go to CVS.
Yeah. I just usually take care of all that stuff myself, and I don't have to worry about it. Makes it easier. It's worth it. It's worth it. I get to actually make the film that I want to make, and I get my own coffee. It's fine.
At least you'll know you're doing it right.
No, if I may ask, like, with your productions and everything else, because you have different people who do things differently. Like, like the budgets and everything else are always varying. Like I find myself being very, very fortunate to the point where I have a crew that we work on each other's projects, so we never get paid to work on. Like, if I were to make a short film, no, like aside from the actor, the crew are all people that I know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a free film school that we give each other. So it's like, if they need a position, then I'll jump in, just have someone show me quickly how to do something. I learn that way.
Mm-hmm.
Payments experience, basically, which people think is horrible, but it works out for us.
Sure.
So the most I have to do to really pay someone is, feed them.
Yeah.
Like, someone can't make it, pick them up, bring them to set, something like that, or pay for their Uber, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So with you, taking care of the cast and crew is one of the most important things. More important than the production itself is making sure that the people are happy that they'll come back and work with you again in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So like, how do you go about does every level get paid like financially? Or do you rely on also if I may ask this,
no.
do you like?
Yeah, we're not at that level yet, and I wish that we were. I'm looking forward to that. In fact, it's really a dream of mine. I'd like to be able to pay people, to come up with illusions and imaginative things. I
Yeah.
That's ultimately, that's everyone's goal, of course. But to get into it, you have to just kind of just jump right in and do it. I mean, you could either be a part of it or not at a certain point. And we try not to take advantage of that, and we try to treat everyone as fairly as possible. But yeah, we're all kind of in it, just broke and yeah, let's make this. I spent a lot of time myself, of course, on both of those films, and it's I can't say that I was ever financially compensated, but we got to make them and move the projects forward and hopefully keep this going and perpetuate it to where that can become something that we can do in the future more and more.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's indie stuff. It's really no budget indie at this point. But yeah, we got to make it on film, which was pretty crazy. I think it was everyone had the understanding that this was the most expensive actor in the movie was the film itself.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's kind of I think for the most part everyone was sort of interested in wow, I get to actually be captured on film. It is a very different look. It's kind of funny how we have these perfect cameras that shoot 4K and then we capture this and it's absolutely perfect and it's too perfect and we kind of have to to mess it up as much as we can and give it that sort of filmic look, that beat up kind of punchy film
like
look.
The grainy.
Yeah, we get all that for well, I can't say for free, of course. Film stock is expensive. But that's another thing is that some people shoot on film stock and then they clean it all up to make it look digital. No, thank you. We're leaving the rental version that we're putting out on Vimeo on April the 1st is the Grindhouse rental version of The Exchange is what I like to call it.
See, that's awesome. See, I prefer those. Like those older films, like it's so hard to really, like you said, like you watch digital, it's like, okay, that's cool, it's digital, but then you watch like the older films, like how when they released the Grindhouse double feature back in 2008, I believe, right. With Rodriguez and Tarantino's Planet Terror and Planet Terror and Death Proof.
Right.
It's like, I mean, whenever those films come out, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I mean, it was because I got to see those in theaters, and there's like a 4-hour, date night with my girlfriend at the time. But
sure.
Then you have like the intermission because, I mean, it's 4 hours, so
yeah,
15-minute intermission. But like watching this in the movies and not seeing a digital film, but seeing something where you had the graininess because they were shot on analog film for the most. I think Tarantino actually tries to shoot his on analog film as much as possible.
Oh yeah, he does.
I mean, Christ, the man actually handwrites his scripts, like longhand writes his scripts.
Yeah.
And as long as the movies are, I can't imagine that. Like you're filling up like 5 notebooks. But
yeah.
But no, see, I like that. I love the respect you have for like the old school, damn near obsolete. Well, definitely almost completely obsolete in the independent film industry way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, let's face it, like independent, like with no budget, no one's going to shoot on film.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, what's cheapest? Oh, digital, great. Let's get a few SD cards and a couple of hard drives, and we'll just shoot like on those little tiny, what looks like just like an old school camera.
Right.
But to actually shoot like on actual analog film, I think that's awesome, especially like on a very low shoestring budget film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I need to move back to Florida so I can find some collaborators that are just excited to be on film. In LA, it's like, I've been on the film yesterday.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a much different thing, the I guess the Hollywood mindset versus just making independent films.
Trust me, it gets to be like a headache out here. Fortunately, I know a few really cool people, but there are times where it's just like.
Shout out to Brian.
Who is? who's here?
No, I said shout out to Brian.
Oh yeah, no. See, Brian is a godsend. I love Brian. The world's best bad agent. But yeah, it's like, well, like, Brian's another example. Brian actually like jumped on board and even helped us write some of the series, just because he loves it. He loves the series.
Oh,
so
cool.
Henry,
cool.
do you have Amazon Prime?
Yeah, somebody around here does. Yeah, I can get on that.
If you get a chance, go ahead and look up Bad Agent. It's short.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you meant shout out to Brian Smith at first, who was the director of photography. So
Brian Smith is just absolutely.
Shout out to Brian Smith. And who have I not mentioned? There's got to be some people I haven't mentioned.
Oh, by all means, if there's people you want to shout out to, by all means, go ahead. Just go down the list.
Yeah. Augie Pulliam, who played Draven. Yeah, he did a great job. Shout out to him and his family. Who else? I mentioned Kenny already. I mentioned Cynthia. I mentioned Tom.
Don't forget the.
Hey, hon. That's my wife. Don't forget you. Yeah, you did good. You did.
Oh, shucks. I will say this. I watched it, and
we didn't do a lot of takes. We didn't do 4 takes for you. I mean, like of each. No.
I'm a prima donna.
Oh yeah, the prima donna actor I was mentioning before. That was me. That was.
Yes, you are Mr. Smiley. Just in case.
I'm the asshole.
But I will say this though.
I get my comeuppance. I shouldn't mention that. But we're like an hour plus in, so no one's listening now.
Oh, I thought you meant you actually had to deal with like a legitimate like prima donna.
No. Everyone was beautiful. Everyone was awesome in this film. But it was actually difficult for me to let it go with just a couple of takes for me. So when I'm watching another actor, back in playback, it's like, okay, yeah, I can let that go. I can make that work. That's cool. It's a little bit loose and indie, but yeah. But with me, it was like, God, I really want another take, because so I did have a little bit of that with just watching myself.
Well, you know the saying, you're always going to be your own worst critic. So
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I absolutely despise, loathe watching myself do anything.
Oh, I love watching you do stuff.
Yeah.
Well, then you don't enjoy the exchange. But when I watched my scene,
this has just turned into a much different show.
Oh, trust me, this is like I'm working with like baby gloves right now. I'm allowed one F-bomb every show. Sometimes I break that rule, but I have not even said or even thought about that word. So
that's good.
But Josh, go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, I was.
You hate watching yourself.
I hate watching myself, but when I saw my scene come up, I was like, "Oh crap! This is the part where I have to see my face."
Yeah.
But then I watched it. I'm like, "Hey, I don't suck."
Yeah.
Okay.
There was something there. There was something that we captured there.
So would you say that there's something there that wasn't there before? Beauty and the Beast. Okay, I'll shut up.
I don't know.
Like really. Oh,
God. I would say Kenny was fun to work with. So
Kenny's great to work with. Yeah, that's really like that really helped out a lot. I'm sure, and it helped with me. I mean, like to have him there to act off of. And to talk to, a little bit before the takes and in between. Yeah, big time help. Yeah, I can't say enough about that guy. Yeah, really, really good working with Kenny Logston. I was just thinking about, there was a shot that we did. Well, I was holding the camera for. I was actually standing in the water, and there were moccasins. So yeah, that was fun. I'm glad I didn't get bit. Yeah, no, there were snakes. There were snakes. They would have bit me. So I'm glad I didn't get bit. That's good. It's always a good thing. But I filmed one. I don't know if you noticed that or not. Actually, one of them made it in the movie itself. But as we were packing up, this really nice guy was saying, "Hey, man, you might not want to get in that water. There are moccasins in the water." So I didn't really notice them at the time, but then after he pointed it out, he like literally pointed over to one, and I put the camera right on it and filmed it. So giving away some of the movie magic, but yeah, that was a fun. So
was this before or after? I'm sorry, was this before or after you were on the water?
No, this was this was after I had gotten out of the water.
Oh, okay.
When I was standing in the water, I didn't realize at the time, like, wow, there's really like some poisonous snakes that are going to bite me. But it worked out. It's fine. It's good.
Yeah, you're on the show with us, which means that you're not dead, unless you're like a zombie. So
exactly, yeah, exactly. But it was one of those strange moments where it was like, oh wow, I guess the film gods were on our side at that moment. I got the shot for that without injury.
Before we get out of here, I will ask definitively.
Okay.
I know you said you have some things that you're working with, trying to figure out what's next. So I'm going to ask you, what's next?
What's next?
What am I going to get the phone call for?
The short film that I want to put together is going to be next. And I was going to call you for that, actually. But I'll go ahead and just, I'll just ask you right now. Do you want to be in on that?
I don't know. You might have to reach my agent.
Yeah. just say yes. Just agree to anything.
Well, as his agent, I have to advise him not to say anything on the air until we go through the paperwork.
Okay, you got it.
Hey, just have another barbecue. I'm in.
Okay. Oh, yeah. That was fun. And it's been a long time. I think that was the last one. Yeah. So 5 years ago or something. That was 2.
It'd be nice to get together.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be.
Oh,
for sure.
God.
I
didn't even know. I thought at first we were getting together for this. I didn't know that this was an online thing. But that makes sense. That's cool. That's good to do.
Well, see, Josh has a specific attire for the podcast that I don't think that you'd want to be present for.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So.
Yeah. That's all right.
Because, it's what, like 11:17 for you guys right now. And
yes.
I think of me and Josh, one of us is actually wearing attire.
Okay.
You think I can't see you through your webcam, Josh?
I know you can. That's the point.
Mine's covered up.
Oh, Josh's isn't. Yeah. You should have seen him 5 minutes ago. He was doing like that floss dance.
We can't talk about dancing on this show.
God.
It always leads back to that movie, and we're not doing that. Not again.
Yes, I have a feature film as well that it's not entirely fleshed out, but the outline is there. It exists, and it's got a good title. And I don't want to give the title away just yet, but I'm really excited about this one, and I think that it's got some good potential. We want to do some auditions for it sometime, hopefully when things kind of get back to some form of normalcy. We did get a chance to do that for the exchange, actually, at Rain Dogs here in Jacksonville. And shout out to Christina Wagner. Thank you very much for your help with that. She let us hold auditions. That was back a little bit of history that we didn't talk about with the exchange. I should have mentioned. At one point, it was going to be in a anthology. So it was one of 5 stories. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, back when it was kind of a shorter story. So it was going to be an homage to Creepshow. At least.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, to a degree, that was the idea. And one of the stories was actually, I was talking to John Amplis about him being a part of, and the entire big project fell through, and it ended up the exchange kind of took over. And it ended up, I sort of fleshed that one out and wrote it into a feature and kind of said, okay, this is something that we can make right now, and it isn't going to cost too much. The 5-story anthology would have been crazy, and we'd still be working on it like 10 years from now. But there are also some good stories in that which still exist and may surface one of these days. but yeah, so where was I going with that? Yeah, the exchange. We ended up. That's how we ended up working. Of course, with John, he was originally going to be a part of the five story anthology, which was going to go under the name Pentangle. And now Pentangle is its own story, and the exchange is its own story. I guess 3 leftover short films. So, in kind of all of that compromising, we came up with something pretty cool. But for Pentangle, we held auditions, and we talked to, I guess, maybe pretty good amount of actors. The whatever it was, maybe 2017, I want to say. Yeah, it would have been right before we started. I guess, yeah. So, yeah, maybe summer of 2017. Yeah, and actually got to go hold some casting calls, and I'd like to do that again. Talk to some actors. It's one of those things where people are just starting to open it all back up, and I think you were saying something about the mask mandate is off, and so
yeah, it's going.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully we can kind of get back out there and hold some auditions and talk to some actors. And of course I'm sure we're gonna use some of the usual suspects, but we're very much interested in talking to some other people as well. And yeah, I mean, it's a cool story. I don't want to give too much of it away and give away all the secrets, but I am very excited about a new project that I'm working on. And it's something that we can afford pretty much. Not really, but it's not totally insane. I've got a couple that are pretty insane. I've got a Western that I'm working on, and then I've got a period piece from the 30s about old Hollywood.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that one's completed. That one's written.
Okay, no, that's awesome.
So just waiting for that multi-million-dollar budget. And then that'll be that. That might be the one that corrupts me, that just ruins me.
Well, see, it sounds. See, one thing I've got to say that I respect is it sounds like. I mean, not to say that I don't respect anything about what you do, but it's like I will say that what I respect about your process is that very obviously it seems like what you write. There's an old for any aspiring screenwriters that want to produce or direct their own things. If you do not have money, the very first rule of directing your own thing and producing your own thing is write what you can afford to film.
Yeah.
If you don't have any money, write something that costs nothing. There are some amazing stories that take place in one location. Absolutely. But and those things are a pain in the ass. Like Josh, like you read Hurricane Party, right, buddy?
Sure did.
That was such a bitch for me to write because the entire story takes place in a house with 2 characters that do not get along. Like it was a pain in the ass. Like, I mean, like probably the hardest thing I ever wrote in my life. And I've written 20 some odd feature length scripts. That right there was a pain. The hardest. I think that took me almost like damn close to a year to get the first draft done.
How many pages?
I think it's let's see. The first draft was 160 pages.
What?
I mean, there was so much I was having a hard time really writing, and there was a lot of research put into it.
Good God.
So, and then of course that's the first draft. Something I would never show anybody. But then when I got through the second draft, I got it down to 112 pages.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know the rule no more than 120 at tops, but these days producers don't want to see 120 on the page. They want less.
Yeah.
So it's like, but the entire script takes place in, it's called Hurricane Party. It takes place during a hurricane lockdown with characters that get together for a hurricane party, and it happens right after this couple that is engaged end up breaking up.
Yeah, that's great.
So they break up like just like an hour or two before people are showing up for this party because they just like the guy's an idiot, he's messing up, and then now he's just kind of like they're both trapped inside of the house together.
Okay.
So it's like that's the entire script, like with her family there, with a few friends and a roommate who invites a whole bunch of people from Facebook that he doesn't even know over to the hurricane party.
Sure.
So it was really hard to write because it was just like the dynamic. Mm-hmm. But like the point being is like I wrote that thing, I was going to direct it, and I was set to direct it. I was set to do everything back, like 2016, 17 where I wrote it.
Right.
But the thing is that I wrote it for the sole fact that I had friends that were the house I lived in was like the whole script is modeled around that house.
Okay.
So I had people that were interested in coming over and doing stuff, but then it's like it kind of like turned into a nightmare trying to get the actual camera crew and the landlord to let us do the boarding up the house when there's no, hurricane outside. Movie magic is not allowed there. So
right. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
But
no, but I was going to mention Night of the Living Dead as it's a good example of something that's really stripped down but changed the world. Done on a completely independent budget and yeah.
Yep. And there's actually a script that. Oh, see, there's actually like a half-hour script that I wrote just as a joke of a TV show for zombies.
Okay.
And I even gave it like the most ridiculous name possible, called Infectocalypse.
Ooh, okay.
I wrote out a name that it took me, I think, 3 days to be able to pronounce it.
Sure, yeah.
But it takes place inside of a house with a handful of characters. They're like, if I get around to it, I'll just go to Florida and film this so I can actually do it for cheap.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's like, well, the point being is like, what I was going to say is like, I'm sorry, I'm very long-winded.
Of course.
What I respect about your work is the fact that you write what you can afford to film.
Yeah, at the moment.
And it really helps that process. It's less of a hassle. Not to say it's not a difficult process, but it's less difficult because they're written to be filmed on a relatively small to damn near non-existent budget.
Yeah. What's funny is then somebody like me is going to see those films and say, I like his cheaper films better. I like the indie films better. Just in the event that something larger were to take place in the future, a multi-million-dollar kind of big film or something, that would be the moment where everybody goes, well, I liked him better when he was doing this no budget type stuff. One could hope. I could always dream, right? And I'll be like a really rich sellout. No, I don't.
Well,
it's really
the thing is. At least you
not that, but you certainly do get that necessity being the mother of invention sort of spirit. Yeah, you get your friends together and you're just there to just make it happen. Yeah.
Well, like that's created a few careers. Look at what was it? El Mariachi.
Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez's first big film. There was some brilliant editing techniques in there. What was it? I think like with some of the gunshots.
Yeah.
Some of the guns only fired one shot, so he would have to go edit it to make it look like they were fully automatic guns.
It's perhaps an energy that you can feel, when it's like that, and that's something that can't be duplicated just because you have all the money in the world. It's a really interesting thing when you look at that.
Oh yeah, you see his films and you can kind of see like where he's changed in his directing style, but you see something like El Mariachi that was filmed on like a shoestring budget. For Christ's sake, I think there's a van or a truck or something that appears in numerous scenes, just because they couldn't afford. That was also like their equipment truck and their crew truck, and how they transport actors and act. It's just like everything was done on such a cheap. I think even the lighting, they bought like hardware store lights because they didn't have money for professional lighting.
Right.
But they spawned a career. So there's no telling. You do these films that cost next to nothing. It gets in the right hands, and boom, here you go.
Yeah.
There was a guest that we had last year, Justin Ward. He directed. You like independent films? I'll recommend one to you. It's called Relish. It's on Amazon Prime also.
Okay.
But it was filmed on a shoestring budget and with a bunch of actors that really. Some of them have gone on to do things. I forget the Chelsea Zhang, I think her name is, one of the actresses in this. She went on to be in, I think, Titans.
Okay.
But it's like these movies that start with a very, very small and meager budget can be some amazing pieces of work. I love Shoot the Messenger. I thought it was a very well done film.
Oh, thank you.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm looking forward to seeing this because I want to see I'm interested in how much further you'll go with this work. I also just today. Since I didn't have the time, I dropped the ball. I wasn't able to get in my schedule to watch the new one. So I even checked out your music video that you did.
Oh, okay.
What was it? What was it called? Jesus is a junkie or something like that? Or?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Is that the one where Josh is riding the needle?
Yes.
I guess his name is Josh, but yeah, like even on the even
Dr.
on YouTube. On the still, like when I saw this today, I was like, oh well, I'll see what Henry's done here. So I look it up, and I look up Jesus is a junkie on YouTube, and the picture for the film is, a guy in a white robe with a red cape running a syringe. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, through space, a syringe rocket through space. Yes, it's
like my curiosity is definitely piqued.
It seemed to make sense at the time, I suppose. It was a fun party.
It's funny because that was right around the time that I had met Josh. We were working together at a different place. Brandon and you and I were doing the stuff for Extra Life at that time.
Yep.
And, we were just two guys doing this random job. And, it got brought up. I was like, yeah, me and my buddy, we're putting together a series, And he's like, oh, you're into filmmaking. I'm like, yeah, I guess you could say that. And he's like, hey, I'm doing something this weekend I want to show you. And then when he came back to work, he pulls out his phone and he's like, this is what we do. And since then, he and I have been really good friends.
It's a lovely thing.
And through him, I met you, Henry, and everybody else. Can't forget Justin and Richard and
Absolutely.
Tom. Everybody. Cynthia. It's only been a pleasure to be able to meet everybody that's involved with these projects.
Absolutely, good people, all for sure.
Well, see, I've got to say this. One thing that cracks me up is a buddy of mine that lives in New Jersey. He's one of the people that, he has no experience in film. He's never been on a film set, doesn't know anybody that's even involved in film outside of myself. And even if he were to try to steal a script, he would have no idea how to even shop it out. So I have no qualm with him reading my stuff.
Okay.
Plus, it helps that he's been my best friend since, second grade. But
okay.
So he told me, he was like, oh, yeah. So, we're because I told him he needs to come out here and work on one of my film sets with me. He was like, I don't want to go out there with a whole bunch of really scared to offend anyone kind of people. I'm like, dude, what you see on social media and everything else, that is nothing like what the film industry is. I told him, we are some of the most vulgar, insensitive people you'll ever meet in your life.
But in a good way.
I told him, I think that you'd actually, huh?
But in an honest and pure and good way, right? Of course.
Well, yeah. It's always there's a whole. I told him there's a lot of hazing, but it's all with the utmost respect and love. But it's just very raunchy humor.
Sure.
I told him otherwise, if you are so serious about everything, I told him no one I know is no one I know out here is going to be such a serious actor or director that they're going to be just doing 100 takes homeboy with The Shining or whatever. I told him we're all very laid back people. But he was just I was just cracking up. He was talking about he just he has no idea what the film industry is like.
Okay.
Now, have you had anybody that asked had anybody have a misconception about what you do in film, or have you had anybody think one thing and then show up and actually see you work and be like, oh my god, this is what it's like?
I'm not sure if I have a comparable sort of experience, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Probably not so much. But that's interesting to hear that it's different than it's portrayed. There's definitely kind of an image, the sort of Hollywood image, and if you don't do it this one way, then you're not in. I mean, I'm sure it kind of keeps a lot of people out of it who normally might excel, at writing or filmmaking. Yeah.
I've seen I've been on A-list sets out here, and I've seen people I've had to find a production assistant one time, and I found him in the stairwell of an abandoned hospital on the San Bernardino Valley. This is back in my college years. I could not find the PA / my classmate. I found him in a stairwell bawling his eyes out. He dropped out of college maybe 2 weeks later. Dropped out of film school. It was just too much for him.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's I told him well, this is the grunt work, man. This is where you really shine.
Yeah.
I won't say anything about you crying in the stairwell, but you need to get back there because you didn't drive out here. So.
Wow. Yeah.
But no, I was just curious because every film set is different. Every director is different. So I guess that was my question. I was just curious if you had somebody, because I think even a friend of mine was curious what it was like for me to write a script, and I told him well, there's a lot of napping.
Right.
I told him it's mentally exhausting. Mm-hmm. And that's actually a question I was curious about, with you from a writing standpoint. When you have to write certain scenes or characters, or if there's a really, I guess if you're writing something where there's a dramatic scene, do you find yourself having to get into that character's psyche to be able to write that scene? So if it's a depressive scene, do you find yourself having to really get to that place mentally, or do you just write it and?
No, absolutely, and I know what you mean about the naps. It's kind of I almost have to shut down after maybe 5 pages. If I can get 5 good pages in a day, then that's a good day, right? And I see that a lot. Kind of just shutting my mind off and kind of having to get away from it. It can be emotionally draining for sure to kind of process it all and go through all the permutations and what a character would or wouldn't say or do, and I just usually do that, and it's kind of stream of consciousness, sort of here it is, flow, and to kind of get in that stage can be exhausting, I guess. Yeah, it can. It's like a big workout. It's a big mental workout.
Oh yeah,
something like that. I'm hearing something back there. I guess that's on Josh's end.
Josh, are you here?
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
Here.
Okay.
Hi.
Oh, that was my question. I was just curious about that. Cool. Every director, every writer, everything's different. Because I know people that do their writing and they're oh yeah, I just write real quick. I'm oh, that works for you?
No, yeah, not so much.
I've had to explain to my girlfriend. I was writing a scene about a guy dealing with the death of a loved one, and I've been there myself with a fiance in 2005. So I had to really revisit those memories to be able to actually write a believable situation.
Wow.
And I told her, listen, tonight's not a good night. I'm not really there mentally. I don't want to go out. Oh, you okay? It's I just got done writing. I had to get in that psyche, and it's not a fun place to go.
No, for sure. Yeah.
So. Like I said, I wish I could be like the guy that was telling me, oh yeah, I just write my stuff down. I read one of his scripts. I'm you just write this? He's yeah. I was this is beautiful, man. You just write this?
Wow.
I hate you.
Yeah.
But you still love me.
Oh, I'm not talking about you.
No, I have to go into writer mode, and it's a completely different setup. I just kind of turn into a different person for a few weeks and sort of do that and obsess with that and get away from it. But it's a different hat for sure. I do that a lot. I'm either, if I'm working on music, it's a very different thing. Or if I'm working on actually directing actors, it's a very different thing. And the creative process, writing the stories in the first place. Yeah, that's just in a way, kind of a different person taking care of that job, At least I have to
absolutely.
Sort of treat it that way, But it's not something that I can sort of just jump around and do everything every day. It's I sort of have to be a writer for a while. I'm a writer for a month. I'm working on the look of a film for a month or whatever it is, the actual soundtrack or mixing it. It seems like I have to sort of become obsessed and bone up on the technical parts, that help move those things along and kind of forget them again and have to relearn them when I get back to it. You know what I mean? But each
absolutely.
time, with each cycle of that, it gets stronger. And the rest in between is what's really important. That'd be a good point to make with that, is that so when I write for, a month or two, whatever it is, and then I take a year off and I'm doing all these other things, somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm still working on that. I'm still critiquing that. I'm living with all of my mistakes. You film them and then you see them a million times, and, in editing, and you live with it all, and then you kind of get back to it after several walks, after, my wife's reminding me, painter, yeah, I do paint as well. I'll get on that kind of a kick for a long time or whatever it is, and sort of get back to it. But it's almost like instead of it just weakening and turning into jelly, those muscles, they have memory, and you just work them a few more times and they come back that much stronger.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the interesting thing that keeps happening. And so I think that it keeps getting better. This sort of strange circular ascension.
No, I get it. No, it's like, and that's why I was asking, because I know that there are writers that go through the process, like with me, like I guess there's this thing that people call like method writing, which I look at as like method acting, just to act. Like, so like with me, like with the writing, but like it's like one of those deals where to get into a certain mindset, like I find myself actually getting lost in that character. Like as I'm writing those lines, like I have to really find myself, okay, this is the mood that I'm writing right now. This is supposed to be how the scene is. Mm-hmm. And the scripts that have actually won awards have been ones where I had to lose myself to like a level of grief, depending on a scene, or a level of like, I guess, isolation that a character is feeling, or fear or something. Like, I mean, I have to watch stuff like that. I love horror films. There's certain ones that do actually scare the hell out of me.
All right.
I have to watch these things, or I have to like go for a walk. Like, I think at the time there were like, I was living in Jacksonville Beach, and there was like there were like those like wooded, like not much, but like the wooded, like I guess nearby the swampy areas, like back in the hiking trails.
Okay.
Like, well, I really need to feel some kind of dread for this horror scene. I don't feel it.
Yeah.
And I lived off of America Avenue, so I'm like right by all these places.
Like, that's where I was. I grew up there.
Yeah, so it was like I just drove myself down to a little walking trail like 1 o'clock in the morning. Hope to God no cops saw me. And I just went for a walk with nothing, no lights, no nothing, just so I could have that feeling of like, because no matter how old you get, you always feel like something's watching you when you're walking through the woods at night.
Sure.
So I had to get that dread. I'm like, oh, this is how I feel. Okay, great. Now I can go write this. Oh, shit, I'm lost. Use it for the script.
Yeah, no, I had some great thoughts in those woods as well. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's like that's my old hood. Yeah, I went to Seabreeze Elementary and Constitution Constitution Cove.
Oh yeah, okay.
Right way. Yeah, but America Avenue, that was actually my old house. It was probably a block away, I guess, from the school.
Okay.
Yeah, same kind of area. So I know what you're talking about.
Yep, right there by the JTB.
Yeah, and then I moved over to the north end of the beach, and then a cool spot was the cemetery off Penman Beach.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, yep. That was one of those spots where I would hang out as a kid. Sneak onto grounds. I guess I get a bit of that now. It's like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, a million years ago. Statute of limitations as well passed. So, but yeah, it's crazy stuff. That's sounds like some similar experiences for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's like when you're writing those moods, when you're writing that mood stuff, I mean, you have to like really like. I just find it useful to get yourself into that. That's why I was asking you, because like with the zombie comedy that I'm writing right now, I'm just doing it to make myself laugh. So Danielle will be sitting right next to me on the couch, and I'm over here just cracking up hysterically, hoping to God it's not going to be something that's going to like blacklist my career at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing like zombie Jesus attacking somebody and then talking about how he, reverse Holy Communion somebody.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's
so like, I'm like, am I going to go to hell for writing this?
Probably, yeah. There's an audience for that,
yes.
Yes. Thank you, Josh. Oh man, that was actually a question I wanted to ask you, and I kept forgetting to ask that. And yeah.
I can almost recall such things. It's been a while. I haven't been doing so much writing as of late. Kind of had to go back in and do the finals on the exchange, and taking a little bit of time off, but I can't wait to get back at it, of course. Hopefully some next couple of months we'll set the wheels in motion to kind of get the next thing off the ground and started, and hopefully it won't take as long. This one will take quite a while, but yeah, we shall see.
So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it. I'll be watching it tonight. Well, I'm doing some pre-production work, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Cool, very cool. Yeah, we had fun making it, and I think it does what it should do.
Good.
Well, on that note, I think it might be time to start wrapping things up.
Yep.
I'm exhausted. I'm asleep. Like I said, my schedule is I get up pretty early and go to bed by about 9, unless there's something really special happening, and this is certainly special.
Yeah, I'm generally up about 4:35 in the morning.
And then I tried to get a nap on 7 p.m. and it just didn't really work out. Yeah, I did okay. I'd love to chat again sometime for sure, and I'll be better prepared for it.
We always love having our guests return to a show. So far I think Sue is our highest recurring guest that we have.
Screenwriter.
Yeah, screenwriter, and she's awesome. But and Sue, if you're listening, I love you very much. I really do. So don't take this personally. But she brings out the worst of my mouth.
Oh, okay.
Every time.
Weird.
I'm just saying, I already have a hard time keeping us just at an R rating if we don't have a special guest. But when she's on, oh my God. The vulgarity gets dialed up to an 11. I'm like the speaker from Spinal Tap. It goes up to 11.
Yeah. There you go. Sometimes you need that kind of thing.
Oh, I'm telling you.
It's okay.
But yes, I think it's not plenty of time because I'm going to have to step out of here in a minute here. So
okay. That's cool.
Henry.
Yeah, I'm winding down for the evening. Yes, sir.
I know you don't do social media, but if anybody wanted to find out more about you, other than following you around on the sidewalk, where can people go to look at your work?
IMDb. That's what I'm on that. Aside from that, I'm really not so sure. I guess.
All right.
Here
in the exchange
podcast. Oh yeah, the exchange. IMDb. That's on Vimeo. Yeah, Vimeo, and IMDb. Those would be the places. I'm great at promoting myself. I know.
Well, we will make sure that the links for all of that stuff is going to be available to our listeners and our watchers very soon after these things go live on all of our downloadable platforms. So if you want to listen to you just hop on iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever fine podcasts are sold. Brandon.
Yep, what's that?
Joshua.
Where can we find you on the social medias?
Well, you can find me on Facebook and also on Instagram. But let's not talk about me. Let's talk about the WADcast. On Facebook, you can find us on facebook.com/the WADcast. You'll notice our page because, well, if the words the WADcast doesn't give us away, our profile picture, a little black picture with a white banner that says, guess what, WADcast in it, definitely will give us away. You can also find us on Instagram. Instagram.com/guess what, the WADcast. Same thing. If the title itself does not give us away, the profile picture, also a black picture with a white banner that says the WADcast in it, that is our page. Give us a like. I am horrible at updating it, but you know what? I'm going to get to it someday. It's a little dated right now. But you know what? I was always a C student in high school, so you can't really blame me. Now, you can also find me on Instagram at bjacksman82. B as in Brandon, Jax as in my hometown that both of our other people on this podcast are currently residing in. JAX, short for Jacksonville. Man, because you know what? I am a man. I'm almost a full-grown man also at the age of 38. So it's bjacksman82. That's where you can find me. I have a Twitter. I do not remember my handle because I am, once again, horrible with social media. Josh, what about you?
Well, as always, you can go to Twitter and find me at skitcomic, SKITCOMIC, or at Semicore Studios. That's the thing that hosts this whole shebang, or at WADcast Pod. You know, it's a lot of fun going on the Twitters and ignoring it for months on end. I know I'm supposed to tweet more, but you know what?
Listen, we're professionals.
You can join us here each and every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, as we talk about writers, actors, directors on this show on the Facebook page, as well as having it shared to the Semicore Studios Facebook page. Like them. Give them a like. Show some support. Show some love. And make sure that if you are one of the people listening to it on a delayed basis via download or stream, rate, review, subscribe. Let the world know what you think about the WADcast as well as the other associated Semicore Studios podcasts. Henry, I'm going to ask you
yes, sir.
One more thing.
You got it.
Do you have any final words or pieces of advice to people that may be listening?
Yeah, let's see. Final words, pieces of advice. Be nice to one another. That's a good place to start. Don't worry so much about how the other person does it. You know, do it your way. It's your story. Tell it your way. You know, and find happiness however you can. Find enlightenment and love wherever you can. And, you know, let's all try not to be so horrible and negative. And let's make great art, if possible, when and if ever possible. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight, Henry. It was a pleasure having you. And
very much so.
Thank the missus for me for putting all of this together for us.
Okay.
She does a wonderful job taking care of you. Yeah?
Absolutely. Thank you, Heather.
I every week I end with basically the same message. And I think you could be the absolute personification of the said message.
Okay.
So here it is. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. There's art in your heart, and all you got to do is do it. Like Henry said, make what you want, but remember, the first step is getting off the couch and doing it. Make 2021 the year that you follow your dreams, that you create your art and solidify your spot in the world. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Like I said, we're here each and every week talking about writing, acting, directing, and just stuff in general.
Yeah.
Glad to have you all on board.
Thank you, guys.
No, thank you. Thank you for your time. You're always welcome back, buddy. Always.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, we're out.
Okay.